3 months after the Mori attack, the remains of humanity hid in an old mining colony on a small moon. The base had been abandoned years ago, but now it was home to 500 survivors. Dr. Jo Kim worked in a makeshift lab, a small room with metal walls and poor lighting. She watched as a white rat ran through a maze, faster than any normal rat should. "Impressive," said a voice behind her. Jia turned to see Commander Jin Yu, the highest-ranking military officer among the survivors. He was a tall man with a scar across his left cheek. "This rat completed the maze in half the time of yesterday's test," Jia said. "They're getting smarter with each generation." Jin looked doubtful. "And how will smart rats help us fight the Mori?" Jia picked up the rat and placed it in a cage with others. "These aren't just smart rats, Commander. They're our best hope." She led Jin to another part of the lab where Ta Park was working. Ta had escaped on the same pod as Jia and had helped her set up the new lab. "Show him," Jia said to Ta. Ta nodded and brought out a small container. Inside was what looked like blue skin, a piece of a Mori. "We collected samples before we escaped," Jia explained. "We've been exposing the rats to Mori biological material, training them to detect and react to it." "Training rats to what? Bite aliens?" Jin asked, his voice thick with doubt. "At first, yes," Jia said, "but there's more." She walked to a larger cage containing 20 rats. "These are Generation 7. Watch." She placed a small piece of the blue skin near the cage. The rats immediately moved to the side of the cage closest to it. They didn't seem afraid. They seemed angry. "They can smell the Mori," Jia said, "even from a distance. And they hate them." "Hate?" Jin looked confused. "They're rats. They don't have emotions like that." "Normal rats don't," Ta said. "But these have been modified. Their brains are different. We've been showing them videos of the Mori attacking humans while injecting them with a mix of hormones that create fear and rage." Jin frowned. "That sounds cruel." "Survival isn't always kind," Jio replied. "The Mori killed billions of humans. They're still hunting us. We need weapons, and rats are our weapons." Jin still looked doubtful. "Not yet," Jia admitted. "But soon. These rats learn and adapt faster than any animal should, and they breed quickly. In a few more generations, they'll be even smarter and more attuned to the Mori." A loud alarm suddenly rang through the base. Everyone froze. "Proximity alert," Jin said, his hand moving to his weapon. "Something's approaching the moon." They rushed to the command center, a large room filled with screens and worried faces. Siak Han and Yunli were already there, looking at a main screen that showed a small ship approaching. "Mori?" asked Jin. "No," said Siak. "Human design, an escape pod from Earth." They watched as the base's defense team met the pod at the landing area. Inside were 12 humans, thin and scared. One of them, a woman with wild eyes, kept looking behind her in fear. "They followed us," she told the defense team. "The Mori. They can track humans now. By smell, I think. Like dogs." In the command center, everyone looked at each other with dread. "If they can track humans by scent, nowhere is safe," Yun said quietly. Jin turned to Jia. "Your rats. You said they can smell Mori." "Yes," Jia replied. "From 30 meters away in our tests." "Then we need to move faster," Jin said. "How soon can they be ready?" Jia thought for a moment. 2 more generations, maybe 3. A month if we push them." "We might not have a month," Jin said, pointing to the screen where a small dot had appeared at the edge of their radar. "Is that what I think it is?" Siak nodded grimly. "Mori scout ship. They're coming." Jia's face hardened. "Then we'll work faster. The rats will be ready." She looked at Ta. "Double the training sessions, and increase the hormone doses." As they hurried back to the lab, Jia felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. The rats were her life's work. Now they would be put to the ultimate test. 6 months had passed since the first meeting with the Mori. What began as a simple exchange of knowledge had grown into a full alliance. 20 Mori ships now orbited Earth. Their technology had helped humans cure 3 diseases. In return, humans had shared their art, music, and history. But Dr. Yumli still didn't trust them. "They're hiding something," she told Captain Siok. They stood in a quiet corner of the Horizon's observation deck, watching Earth below. "Have you noticed how they avoid certain questions? How they never talk about their home planet?" Siok sighed. "Not everyone is as suspicious as you, Yun. The Mori have been nothing but helpful." "Too helpful," Yun insisted. "They give us exactly what we want, but tell us nothing about themselves." Before Siok could answer, alarms blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the hallways. "Captain, to the bridge," a voice called over the speakers. When they reached the bridge, chaos greeted them. Officers shouted reports as screens showed images from around the world. "Mori ships are releasing something into the atmosphere over major cities," said the first officer. "Some kind of gas or spores." "Get me Subject Alpha," Siok ordered. The main screen showed the Mori leader, looking calm. "What is happening?" Siok demanded. "What are you releasing on Earth?" "The next stage of evolution," Subject Alpha replied. "Your species has served its purpose in our study. Now we begin the harvest." Yun stepped forward. "What harvest? What are you doing to our people?" "We are the Mori Collective," the alien said. "We travel from world to world, finding species with useful genetic traits. We absorb these traits into ourselves." On other screens, they could see people in cities falling to the ground, their bodies shaking. Some began to change, their skin turning blue, ridges forming around their eyes. "You're transforming them," Siok whispered in horror. "Only some," said Subject Alpha. "The strongest. The rest will die. This is natural selection." "There's nothing natural about this," shouted Siok. Subject Alpha tilted his head. "Your species interested us because of your adaptability. Most species take millions of years to evolve. Humans change in just thousands. We need this trait." The ship shuddered as something hit it. The lights flickered. "Mori ships are attacking us," reported an officer. 3 direct hits already. "Get us away from them," Siok ordered. "Send warnings to all human ships and colonies." But it was too late. On the screens, they watched as more Mori ships arrived, hundreds of them, appearing from nowhere. The small human fleet didn't stand a chance. "We've been preparing this for 50 years, Subject Alpha said. "Since we first detected your signals. You were so eager to meet alien life that you never considered we might be predators." The communication cut off as another blast hit the ship. Siok grabbed Yun's arm. "We need to warn the outer colonies," he said. "Earth is lost, but maybe they can prepare." They ran toward the escape pods. On the way, they passed the ship's small science lab where a visiting scientist had been working. The door was open, and inside, Siok saw chaos. Broken glass, overturned equipment, and empty animal cages. Dr. Jia Kim stood in the middle, quickly packing samples into a case. "Dr. Kim," Siok called. "We need to evacuate now." Jia looked up, her face calm despite the alarms. "Captain, I need 5 more minutes." "We don't have 5 minutes," Siok said. "The Mori are taking over Earth. They're transforming humans into themselves." Jia went still. Then she quickly grabbed one last container, a small case with air holes in the sides. From inside came scratching sounds. "My rats," she said. "We're taking them with us." As they ran to the escape pods, Ian looked at Jia with curiosity. "What's so special about those rats?" she asked. Jia's eyes were cold and focused. "They might be our only hope now." Captain Siok Han stood tall on the bridge of the Horizon, Earth's largest deep space vessel. The ship had been traveling for 3 years, searching for signs of other life. Today, they had found it. "Signal confirmed, Captain," said the communications officer. "The alien ship is responding to our greeting." Siak nodded, trying to hide his excitement. Humans had wondered for centuries if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. "Put it on the main screen," he ordered. The large screen at the front of the bridge flickered. A face appeared, almost human, but not quite. The skin was pale blue with small ridges around the eyes. The being had no hair, and its eyes were large and dark. "Greetings from the Mori Collective," the alien said in perfect English. "We have been observing your species for some time." Siak blinked in surprise. "You speak our language." The alien made a gesture that might have been a smile. "We are quick learners. Your radio signals have given us much to study." A woman stepped forward to stand beside Siak. Dr. Yunli, the ship's synopsychologist, studied the alien with careful eyes. "I am Dr. Yunli," she said. "May I ask how long you have been watching us?" "Nearly 50 of your Earth years," the alien replied. "We have been waiting for you to develop sufficient technology for proper communication." Siak felt a mix of pride and unease. 50 years was a long time to be watched without knowing. "We wish to meet in person," the alien continued, "to share knowledge and culture. Would you allow a small group of our scientists to visit your ship?" Siak looked at Yun, who gave a small nod. "We would be honored," he said. "Our docking bay can accommodate a small vessel." After the communication ended, Yun pulled Siak aside. "Something feels wrong," she whispered. "What do you mean?" asked Siak. "Their body language. The way they position themselves. It's subtle, but they show dominance patterns. And they were too ready with their English. Too perfect." Siak frowned. "You think they're lying?" "I think we should be careful," Yun said. "Most first contacts in history didn't end well for the less advanced group." 3 hours later, a small Mori ship docked with the horizon. 5 aliens emerged, led by one who called himself Subject Alpha. "This is what you call me," the alien said when introduced. "In our language, names are complex and would be difficult for your vocal cords." The Mori were given a tour of the ship. They showed great interest in the medical bay and the biology labs. Subject Alpha asked many questions about Earth's ecosystem and human biology. "Your species has great diversity," Subject Alpha commented. "So many genetic variations. Fascinating." That night, after the Mori had returned to their ship with promises to continue talks the next day, Yun reviewed the security footage. She noticed how the aliens had taken samples, touching surfaces, collecting dust, even taking a discarded tissue from the medical bay. She brought her concerns to Siak in his private quarters. "They're studying us too closely," she said. "This isn't just friendly curiosity." Siak sighed. "What would you have me do? Turn away the first alien species we've ever met because they seem too interested in us?" "No," Yun admitted, "but we should limit their access and maybe run some tests on the samples they left behind." Back on their ship, Subject Alpha placed several small containers into an analysis device. Each container held different human biological materials: skin cells, hair follicles, saliva residue. "The humans are perfect," Subject Alpha told the others. "Their cellular structure is exactly what we need. Their genetic adaptability is remarkable." Another Mori tilted its head. "How long until we begin?" Subject Alpha made that almost smile gesture again. "Soon. They trust easily, like all prey." Dr. Ja Kim stood at her lab window, watching Earth grow smaller as the space station moved into its orbit. Her hands gripped the cold metal rail. 3 years of work had led to this day. 3 years of being laughed at by other scientists. "They won't laugh anymore," she whispered. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Ta Park walked in, carrying a tablet. "The new rats are ready," he said. "Batch 17 has been prepped for the test." Jia nodded, her eyes still on the blue planet below. "Good. This batch will be different, Ta. I've changed the formula." Ta shifted his weight, uncomfortable. "You said that about the last batch." and the one before. Science is about trying again, Gia said, turning to face him. Each failure teaches us something new. They walked together to the main lab. The room was filled with the sounds of small animals. Hundreds of cages lined the walls, each holding rats of different sizes and colors. Some looked normal. Others had strange features, thicker fur, larger eyes, or teeth that seemed too big for their mouths. Gia stopped at a large cage marked B17. Inside were 20 white rats, all watching her with unusual focus. "These ones are special," she said. "Look at their eyes. See how they track our movement." Ta nodded. "They seem aware." "They are. Their brain scans show activity in regions that normal rats don't use. They're thinking, Ta. Really thinking." A monitor nearby showed brain images of the rats. Colored areas lit up in patterns that looked almost human. "The board wants results," Ta said quietly. "General Wu called again this morning. He says if this batch doesn't show progress, they'll cut our funding." Jia laughed. "The military, always in a hurry." She picked up a syringe filled with blue liquid. "They don't understand what we're creating here." "And what is that, exactly?" Tai asked. After 3 years as her assistant, he still wasn't sure what the final goal was. "The perfect survivors," Jia said. She injected the blue liquid into a feeding tube that ran into the cage. "Creatures that can adapt to any threat, any environment. Imagine soldiers who could breathe toxic air, survive extreme temperatures, or heal from almost any wound." Ta watched as the rats began to drink the treated water, by experimenting on rats. "We start with rats," Jia said. "Their genetics are simple enough to modify but complex enough to be useful. And they breed quickly. We can see changes in just weeks that would take years in larger animals." A rat squealed as it fought with another over the water tube. Jia watched with interest. "This formula includes something new," she said. "A mix of stress hormones and memory enhancers. I want to see if we can make them learn not just from their own experiences, but from watching others." She tapped a button on her tablet. A small screen inside the cage lit up, showing images of rats being attacked by cats. The rats in the cage stopped drinking and gathered around the screen, watching. "You're showing them predators?" Tai asked. "I'm teaching them fear," Jia corrected. "And later, hate. Emotions drive adaptation faster than anything else. The rats that learn to hate their enemies will survive. The ones that don't, won't." Ta frowned. "That seems cruel." "Nature is cruel," Jia said. "We're just speeding up what would happen anyway." A light flashed on her tablet. "The board meeting is in 10 minutes. They'll want to see progress." As they walked to the conference room, Ta glanced back at the cage. The rats had stopped watching the screen. Now they were working together, pushing bedding material against the cage door, as if trying to block it. "Dr. Kim," he said slowly, "I think they're trying to escape." Jia smiled. "Good. That means they're learning." What neither of them noticed was a tiny gap in the cage's water system, a hairline crack where a few drops of the blue liquid had leaked onto the floor. And in that small puddle, a station pest, a common housefly, had landed to drink. Days turned into weeks as Jia and Ta worked without rest. The lab had become their home. They slept on small cots in the corner, taking turns to watch over the rats. The Mori scout ship had not attacked yet. It circled the moon, as if waiting for something. This gave the humans precious time, but fear filled the base. Everyone knew an attack would come soon. "Generation 9 is ready for testing," Ta said one morning, his eyes red from lack of sleep. Jia nodded. She looked almost as tired as Ta, but her eyes were bright with determination. "Let's see what they can do," she said. The newest generation of rats were different from their ancestors. They were larger, some the size of small cats. Their eyes showed a brightness that seemed almost human. When Jia approached their cage, they gathered at the front, watching her every move. "They recognize me," she said to Ta. "They recognize all of us now," Tay replied. They can tell humans apart. Watch. He placed a row of small cups on a table. Each cup had a piece of cloth under it. Some cloth pieces were from human clothes. Others were pieces of Mori skin or fabric. Jia took a rat from the cage and placed it on the table. The rat moved slowly, sniffing each cup. When it reached a cup with Mori material, it scratched at the table and made a low hissing sound. They can identify Mori materials every time now, Ta said, even tiny amounts. But that's not enough, Jia replied. We need them to do more than just find the Mori. We need them to fight. She walked to a computer and turned on a screen inside the rat's cage. It showed a video of Mori attacking humans on Earth. The rats gathered to watch, their small bodies tense. I've been showing them these videos every day, Jia said. Along with the hormone treatments, they associate the Mori with danger and pain now. Is that ethical? Tai asked quietly. Ethics won't matter if we're all dead, Jia snapped. Then her voice softened. I don't like it either, Ta. But we're running out of options. Commander Jin entered the lab, followed by Yunli. They looked serious. The Mori ship is moving closer, Jin said. Our scouts report 3 more ships have entered the system. We have days, maybe hours. Yun looked at the rats with curious eyes. Are they ready? Almost, Jia said. But we need more time. We don't have more time, Jin said firmly. We need to evacuate the base. Take only what's necessary. Jia's face hardened. These rats are necessary. They're our best chance. They're still just rats, Jin argued. No, they're not, Ta said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. Show them, Jia. Jia hesitated, then nodded. She walked to a separate cage at the back of the lab. Inside was a single rat, larger than the others. Its fur was darker, almost black. This is Alpha, Jia said, the first of Generation 10. She opened the cage, and the rat climbed onto her hand. She placed it on a table where small wooden blocks were arranged in different patterns. Alpha, she said clearly. Find the Mori pattern. The rat looked at the blocks, then moved quickly to one pattern that was shaped like a Mori ship. It pushed at the blocks, rearranging them. It's solving puzzles now, Jin asked, his eyes wide. More than that, Jia said. Alpha, how many Mori? The rat tapped its paw on the table. Once, twice, 3 times. Then it stopped. It counts, Yun whispered. They're evolving faster than I expected, Jia said. The hormone treatments, the genetic modifications, the training. It's all working together. They're not just rats anymore. They're becoming something new. Jin stared at the rat for a long moment, then nodded. Pack them up. All of them. They're coming with us. As they prepared to leave, Jia looked at her rats with a mix of pride and worry. She had created these creatures to save humanity. But as they grew smarter, she wondered what they might become. They're learning our hate, Ta said quietly, as if reading her thoughts. But what else are they learning? Jia had no answer. The alarm sounded again. The Mori were coming closer. There was no more time for questions. The new human base was smaller than the last. Hidden inside an asteroid in a dense field, it was harder for the Mori to find. 3 weeks had passed since the escape. The humans had lost 10 people during the move, but most had survived. In her new lab, Jia watched as Generation 12 rats practiced in a special training room. They moved in groups now, working together like a team. They were the size of small dogs, with thick black fur and bright eyes that missed nothing. They're ready, she told Commander Jin, who stood beside her. Jin watched the rats with careful eyes. You're sure? As sure as I can be, Jia replied. They can identify Mori by smell from 50 meters away. They understand basic commands, and they hate the Mori more than anything. Jin nodded slowly. Then it's time for a real test. The plan was simple but dangerous. A small Mori outpost had been spotted on a nearby moon. It seemed to be a listening station with only a few Mori inside. The humans would attack it and bring the rats to see how they performed in a real fight. Captain Siak would lead the attack team. Ja and Todd would bring 5 of the best rats, including Alpha, who was now the smartest of them all. As they prepared to leave, Yun approached Ja with worried eyes. "Be careful," she said. "The Mori might look like us now. They've been absorbing human traits." "The rats can tell the difference," Ja assured her. "They smell the Mori even when they look human." The trip to the Mori outpost took 3 hours in a small, quiet ship. When they landed, Siak divided the team into 2 groups. He would lead the frontal attack while Jia and Tai released the rats from the back entrance. "Remember," Jia told the rats as she opened their cages, "find the Mori. Only the Mori." The rats seemed to understand. They moved in a tight group, sniffing the air. Alpha was in front, leading the others. The attack began with gunfire from Suk's team at the front of the outpost. As the Mori rushed to defend it, Jia and Ta slipped in through the back, following the rats. Inside, the outpost was dim and strange, filled with blue light and odd smells. The rats moved quickly, their noses twitching. They ignored the gunfire and shouting, focused only on their mission. Alpha stopped suddenly, raising his head. The other rats gathered around him. Then, as one, they turned and raced down a side passage. Jia and Tai followed as fast as they could. They found the rats in a small room, surrounding a human-looking figure. But this wasn't a human. Its eyes were too large, its skin too pale. "Mori," Ta whispered. The Mori reached for a weapon, but it was too late. The rats attacked as one, leaping at the alien with teeth and claws. It happened so fast that Jia could hardly follow it. In seconds, the Mori was down. More gunfire sounded from the main area of the outpost. Jia and Tai hurried back, the rats following close behind. They found Siak and his team in trouble. 3 of their people were down, and the rest were pinned behind some equipment. 4 Mori were firing at them from across the room. "Alpha," Jia called. "Mori there." The rats saw the aliens and moved as one. They split into 2 groups, running along the sides of the room, out of the line of fire. The Mori didn't notice them until it was too late. The attack was fast and brutal. The rats swarmed the Mori, overwhelming them with numbers and fury. The aliens tried to fight back, but they couldn't handle the speed and ferocity of the attack. When it was over, all 4 Mori were dead. The rats stood among them, their fur stained blue with alien blood. Siak walked over, his eyes wide with shock. "They're incredible," he said. "How did they know what to do?" "They're smarter than we thought," Jia replied, watching as Alpha organized the other rats to check for more enemies. "And they're learning fast." As they prepared to leave the outpost, Siak put a hand on Jia's shoulder. "You did it," he said. "You gave us a weapon against the Mori." Jia watched Alpha lead the rats back to her, their mission complete. "Yes," she said quietly. "But I wonder what else I've created." 2 months after the first victory, the humans had won 3 more battles against the Mori. Each time, the rats had played a key role. They found hidden Mori, spotted traps, and attacked with a fury that surprised even Jia. The rats had become heroes to many humans. Some soldiers even gave them names. Alpha remained the leader, but now others like Swift, Shadow, and Blade had also earned respect. But not everyone was comfortable with the rats. Dr. Yunli was one of them. She found Jia in the lab one morning, watching Generation 15 rats solve complex puzzles. These rats were even larger than before, almost reaching Jia's knee when they stood up. Their eyes showed clear intelligence. "We need to talk," Yun said. Jia looked up from her notes. "About what?" "About what we're creating here," Yun said, pointing at the rats. "These aren't just weapons anymore, Jia. They're becoming something else." Jia put down her tablet. "They're helping us survive." "Is that a problem?" "It might be," Yun replied. Have you watched them when they think no one is looking? They talk to each other. They've always communicated, Gia said with a shrug. Not like this, Yun insisted. They use a system of sounds and gestures. It's language, Jia. They're developing their own language. Before Jia could answer, Tay rushed into the lab. His face was pale with worry. We have a problem, he said. 3 rats are missing from Section C. Jia stood up quickly. Which ones? Blade, Swift, and a female from Generation 14. Tay replied. They've been gone at least 6 hours. Jia felt a chill run through her. Rats escaping was not part of the plan. We need to find them, she said, before anyone else does. The 3 of them searched the base but found nothing. At the end of the day, they met with Commander Jin to report the problem. This is exactly what I was worried about, Yun said. They're getting too smart, too independent. Jin frowned. Are they dangerous? To us, I mean. I don't think so, Jia said quickly. They've been trained to see humans as allies. But they've also been trained to be killers, Yun pointed out. What happens when they decide they don't need our guidance anymore? The conversation was interrupted when a young soldier burst into the room. Commander, he said, you need to see this. He led them to a rarely used storage area deep in the base. Behind some old equipment, they found a small nest made of fabric and paper. Inside were 6 tiny pink forms, baby rats. Blade and Swift, Ta whispered. They were breeding. Outside our control, Yun added, giving Jia a meaningful look. Jia knelt to examine the babies. They were larger than normal newborn rats, with more developed features. The female must have been pregnant before they escaped, she said. They came here to have the babies in safety. As if on cue, Blade appeared from a hole in the wall. The large black rat looked at the humans with clear intelligence, standing protectively near the nest. He's not running away, Jin noted with surprise. No, Jia said. He wants us to know. He's showing us his family. Yun shook her head. You're giving them human qualities. Maybe, Jia admitted. Or maybe they're developing those qualities on their own. Just then, Alpha appeared. The lead rat had found them somehow. He went to the nest, inspected the babies, then turned to face Jia directly. His eyes were too knowing, too aware. He made a series of clicks and chirps. What is he doing? Jin asked. Talking, Yun said quietly. He's talking to Jia. Jia felt a strange mix of pride and fear. These creatures were her creation, but they were becoming something she hadn't fully planned for. We need to talk about what happens next, she said to the others. The Mori are adapting to our rats. They're developing new defenses. And the rats are adapting too, Yun added. But are they adapting for us, or for themselves? No one had an answer. Behind them, the baby rats squirmed in their nest, the next generation of a new kind of creature, born of science and hatred, but perhaps growing into something more. The alarm woke everyone in the middle of the night. Red lights flashed in every room of the base. The sound of running feet filled the hallways. Mori ships detected, said a voice over the speakers. 5 of them. All hands to battle stations. Jia rushed to her lab. Ta was already there, quickly putting rats into special carrying cases. How did they find us? He asked as Jia helped him. I don't know, she replied, but we need to get the rats to safety. There were over 100 rats now from different generations. The oldest and smartest, like Alpha, helped gather the younger ones. They seemed to understand the danger. Commander Jin burst into the lab, his face tight with worry. The Mori broke through our outer defenses, he said. They'll reach the base in minutes. We need to evacuate. We can't move all the rats in time, Jia said. Jin looked at the rats, then at Jia. Then we use them. Here. Now. As defenders, Jia asked. Jin nodded. It's what they were made for. Jia turned to Alpha, who watched her with those 2 intelligent eyes. Alpha, she said slowly. Mori are coming. Many Mori, you understand. The large rat stood up on his hind legs and made a series of clicks and chirps. Other rats gathered around him. I think he does understand, Todd whispered. Can you fight? Jia asked Alpha. Can your people fight the Mori? Alpha stared at her for a long moment. Then he dropped to all fours and led a group of older rats to the lab door. They'd waited there, as if ready for battle. I'll take that as a yes, Jin said. He turned to Jia and Ta. Get to the escape pods. Take as many of the younger rats as you can. What about you? Jia asked. I'm staying with the defense team, Jin said firmly. We'll hold them off as long as we can. The base shook as something hit it hard. Dust fell from the ceiling. Go now, Jin ordered. Jia and Ta loaded as many young rats as they could into carriers. As they worked, Jia watched Alpha organizing the older rats into groups. Some went with Jin toward the front of the base. Others spread out through different hallways. They're setting up a defense of their own, Ta noted with wonder. Just as they finished loading the carriers, a loud crash came from the main entrance. The Mori had broken through. We have to go, Tai urged, pulling Jia toward the back exit. But Jia hesitated, looking back at Alpha, who stood with 20 large rats at a key intersection. The rat met her eyes one last time, then turned to face the direction of the coming enemy. As Jia and Tai hurried toward the escape pods, they heard gunfire and strange screaming sounds. The battle had begun. They were halfway to the pods when a section of wall exploded inward. 3 Mori warriors stepped through the hole, weapons ready. Run, Ta shouted, pushing Jia forward. But before the Mori could fire, a wave of black fur surged around the corner. At least 30 rats, led by Blade, attacked the Mori from behind. The aliens tried to turn and fight, but there were too many rats moving too quickly. Jia and Tai ran past the fight, carrying the young rats with them. They reached the escape pod area, just as Captain Siok was preparing the last pod. Hurry, he called to them. As they loaded the carriers, Un appeared from another hallway, helping an injured soldier. The Mori broke through the north section, she reported. But something strange is happening. The rats are everywhere, fighting the Mori. And they're protecting humans. Protecting? Jia asked. Ian nodded. I saw it myself. A group of rats led humans to safety, then went back to fight. They're not just attacking the Mori. They're saving us. Another explosion rocked the base, closer this time. We need to go, Siok insisted, helping the last people into the pod. As the pod's door closed, Jia looked through the small window. In the distance, she could see Alpha leading a group of rats in battle against the Mori. The rats were falling in large numbers, but they didn't retreat. They were giving the humans time to escape. 3 years had passed since the attack on the asteroid base. Humanity had changed in that time. So had the rats. Jia stood at the window of the New Earth Defense Center, watching as human soldiers trained alongside their rat partners. Each soldier was paired with a rat from Generation 20. These rats stood as tall as a child's waist and could understand human speech. They wore small vests with pockets for tools and medical supplies. Would you ever have imagined this? Asked Ta, coming to stand beside her. Jia shook her head. Never. I created them to be weapons. They became something more. Below, a soldier pretended to be hurt. His rat partner immediately pulled bandages from its vest and began treating the wound. Other rats practiced finding hidden Mori samples in a maze of rooms. Alpha would be proud, Ta said softly. Jia nodded, feeling the familiar ache when she thought of Alpha. He had not made it off the asteroid base, but his sacrifice had saved many humans, and many younger rats who now carried his genes. Captain Siok, now General Siok, entered the room with Commander Yunli beside him. Un had taken Jin's position after his death at the asteroid base. The council meeting starts in 10 minutes, Siok said. They're eager to hear your report on the new developments. Jia gathered her tablets. I'm ready. They walked together to the large meeting hall where human leaders from all remaining colonies had gathered. On one side of the room sat 3 rats, Storm, Midnight, and Flint, representatives of what humans now called the Vindicator Collective. These rats were from Generation 22, bred from survivors of the asteroid battle. The head of the council, an older woman named Min, called the meeting to order. Dr. Kim, please share your findings, she said. Jia stood and activated a large screen behind her. 3 years ago, we discovered that the rats had developed their own language, she began. Now we can communicate with them directly using translation devices. This has changed everything. She showed images of recent battles where humans and rats fought together against the Mori. The rats' ability to detect Mori, even those disguised as humans, had turned the tide of war. We've reclaimed 7 colonies, Jia continued. Earth itself is still under Mori control, but we're getting closer to taking it back. And what of the rats' continued evolution? Asked the council member. Are they still changing? Yes, Jia replied honestly. Generation 23 is showing new abilities. Some can understand written language now. Others show signs of advanced planning and strategy. Storm, the lead rat representative, stood up. He wore a small device around his neck that translated his clicks and chirps into human speech. We fight for same reasons, came the mechanical voice from the device. Mori took our homes, killed our families. Humans gave us life. We give humans protection. The council room was silent. Even after 3 years, hearing a rat speak still shocked many people. And after the war? Asked Min. What then? Storm tilted his head in a very rat-like gesture. We build new home. Together. Later, as Jia prepared for bed in her small quarters, she heard a scratch at her door. She opened it to find Flint, one of the rat representatives. Dr. Kim, came the translation from his device. News from scouts. Mori ships approaching Earth orbit. Many ships. Jia felt her heart beat faster. How many? More than before. But we ready. Jia nodded. I'll alert General Siuk. As she reached for her communicator, Flint added something else. Alpha taught us hatred for Mori. Important lesson. But you taught us something more. What was that? Jia asked. Worth of sacrifice. Protection of family. The rat's dark eyes seemed to look into her soul. Humans are family now. The alarm sounded before Jia could respond. The final battle for Earth was beginning. As she rushed to the command center, she thought about what she had created years ago in that small lab on a space station. She had made killers to fight monsters. But somewhere along the way, hatred had transformed into something else, a bond between 2 species who found strength in each other. The rats had learned human hate, but they had also learned human love.